there are pop stars, there are cultural forces, and then, sitting entirely in a category she constructed herself, there is Rihanna, Fenty. Over the past 12 months, this woman navigated bullet holes in her front gate, bared her soul through hospital photographs she kept locked away for years, unveiled a 7-month-old daughter dressed in what may be the most talked-about infant outfit in fashion history, and received breathless testimony from her partner that rewrites what the world thought it understood about who she has become. This is not a collection of separate headlines loosely stitched together. This is one continuous, astonishing story about a woman who, at every single turn, refuses to shrink. When a man who has stood beside someone through fame, legal turbulence, 3 pregnancies, and a decade-long friendship chooses the word magic to describe her publicly, you stop and pay attention. That is precisely what ASAP Rocky did in W Magazine's latest cover feature, where he was asked to speak honestly about the woman who shares his life. His words carried no performance, just someone watching a person he loves evolve in real time, searching for language worthy of what he observes daily. Rocky acknowledged that Rihanna has shifted substantially since they first crossed paths, noting that she has changed a lot because she became a mother in that time span, and that certainly changes you. But he was careful to clarify the nature of that shift. This was not surface-level change, not a new morning routine or altered preferences. He described a rewiring at the philosophical level, a transformation in how she moves through the world, processes it, and shows up within it. Rocky went further, saying, "This woman has always been magic. Philosophically, the way she operates is on another level. She is the most charming and genuine person on earth. Her energy is unmatched, one of a kind. I just adore her." He also spoke candidly about his own recalibration since welcoming a daughter into the household. He described being a girl dad as something that made him more vulnerable and said he was ready for that stage. "It makes you way more agile and precious with everything," he told a media outlet, adding that it suited him well. And Rihanna herself? She weighed in on the timing of their romance, crediting pandemic isolation, of all things, with accelerating an intimacy that might otherwise have taken years to fully arrive. She told the publication that COVID sped up our relationship, adding that God knew we needed it because they were about to start a family. Without that pause, she believed they would have taken considerably longer to arrive at the depth they now share. "There was no denying it," she said. "It was the best thing that ever happened to us." From a woman who has built a billion-dollar empire and performed before over 121 million Super Bowl viewers, that statement about a lockdown romance lands with considerable weight. When Rihanna finally introduced her daughter to the public, nobody should have been entirely surprised that she chose a magazine cover as the venue. What stopped even her most devoted admirers cold was the precision of the execution. 7-month-old Rocky Irish Mayers, born on September 13, 2025, made her global debut in a custom Dior haute couture, diaper, and matching headpiece, an outfit created specifically for her by designer Jonathan Anderson. Anderson, creative director at Dior, was candid about what working within Rihanna's vision actually feels like. "The haute couture diaper is definitely a first for Dior. When Rihanna asks for something, she is already ahead of what is happening. She is thinking outside the box." The garment, absurd and brilliant in equal measure, became the most searched fashion item of the week before the issue had even reached newsstands. W Magazine's pop issue, photographed by Tim Walker and styled by Rihanna's longtime collaborator Jaleel Weaver, placed mother and daughter across 2 distinct covers, one featuring them draped together in matching Dior, the other a solo portrait of Rihanna in theatrical Chanel haute couture. The publication dubbed her Queen Mother, a designation that felt less like editorial flair and more like accurate reporting. When Rihanna unveiled the cover herself, she let the caption do the talking, announcing that baby Rocky had arrived on set, and in her words, completely shut her mother down. The issue itself assembled a constellation of voices from across Rihanna's decades in the public eye. Pharrell Williams, asked to summarize her in a single sentence, delivered 3 words: She's a force.
Pharrell Williams was asked, "Can you summarize Rihanna in one sentence?" And he said she's a force.
Mary J. Blige credited her with raising the bar entirely, calling her a fashion icon who brought greater awareness to the intersection of reggaeton and R&B. SZA recalled co-writing consideration with her, describing how Rihanna heard the track and chose it without hesitation, saying this one immediately, with a certainty that SZA found almost disorienting, given how significant the song was to her at the time. Sarah Paulson, reflecting on sharing a film set with her, said Rihanna walked in reserved and observant.
A lot of time not singing Rihanna's songs, and we all sort of covertly were like, "Are you doing it too?"
Absorbing everything around her, like someone far wiser than her experience in that particular craft would suggest. That is the recurring testimony of virtually everyone who has encountered her up close. She generates a field. Something shifts when she occupies a space. Now that field extends to a daughter who at 7 months old has already upstaged her mother on a magazine cover. Before the W magazine moment, before Rocky's debut, there was a quieter revelation, one that hit the internet with a force far exceeding its modest format. On International Women's Day, Rihanna posted 2 photographs taken inside a hospital delivery room. Nobody had seen them before. She had held onto them for years. The first captured the moment she met her eldest son, RZA, in the spring of 2022. She was in a hospital bed, his tiny body pressed against her chest, her neck layered with gold necklaces, including an intricate amulet and a string of pearls. Because, of course, it was. The second photograph arrived from roughly a year and a half later. Her younger son, Riot Rose, nestled against her in that same sacred position, while she looked directly into the camera wearing a pair of thick-rimmed baby pink sunglasses. Because of course she did. Caption did not reach for elaborate poetry. She called these moments by far the most powerful thing I've ever done as a woman, referred to her sons as her little miracles, and concluded with the kind of self-aware humor her admirers have come to treasure. And yes, I gave birth in pearls and sunglasses. Don't ask, a lot was happening. The post gathered over 8 million likes before most of the world had finished their morning coffee. Fellow mothers flooded the comment section, recognizing themselves in the image of chaos and glamour coexisting within a single hospital frame. One reply captured the collective reaction precisely, asking whether a birth even counted if it did not involve pearls and sunglasses. The photographs were funny and tender and fierce simultaneously, which may be the most complete definition of Rihanna anyone has yet managed to produce. What made the post resonate beyond its warmth was the admission embedded within it, that giving birth, not performing for over 120 million Super Bowl viewers, not launching a cosmetics line that restructured an entire industry, not receiving national hero status from her homeland, but the act of bringing life into existence surpassed everything else she had accomplished. From a woman whose achievements occupy multiple Wikipedia pages, that confession carries a specific kind of gravity. Between these chapters of joy and cultural celebration, something genuinely terrifying cuts straight through. On a Sunday afternoon, a woman drove up to the Beverly Crest property where Rihanna and ASAP Rocky live with their children, and opened fire with an AR-15-style rifle. 4 rounds or fragments struck parts of the property. The shooting was reported at approximately 1:15 p.m. and the suspected shooter was taken into custody. Bullet holes were later visible in the front gate.
Home where Rihanna lives, just up the street here, those gunshots ringing out all over the area.
Captured by aerial cameras hovering above yellow crime scene tapes stretched across the public street. The LAPD's elite robbery homicide division assumed control, a designation reserved for the most serious and complex cases. The suspect, a 35-year-old woman from Florida, was booked on suspicion of attempted murder. She had driven to the property's entrance and begun shooting. Her prior history included a violent domestic incident on record from several years earlier, though investigators did not immediately establish a clear motive connecting her specifically to Rihanna. At the time of the shooting, ASAP Rocky and their children were also at the home. No one inside was physically harmed. given the firearm involved and the proximity of that gate to the household beyond it, that outcome was fortune, not inevitability. Representatives for the couple offered no public comment in the immediate aftermath, or a household that had, just weeks prior, been celebrating magazine covers and sharing precious hospital memories. The silence underlined precisely how rapidly the existence of a globally recognized figure can pivot between beauty and genuine threat. Pull back far enough, and what emerges is a portrait of a woman navigating an existence that operates at an intensity most people will never encounter from a single angle, let alone all of them at once. Within roughly 12 months, Rihanna gave the world stolen glimpses of her son's earliest moments on Earth, introduced a daughter who debuted wearing fashion history, watched her partner describe her transformation in terms bordering on reverence, and survived an armed assault on the home where her children sleep. She accomplished all of this without a music release, without a comeback announcement, without the manufactured narrative arcs that typically structure a public figure's presence in the cultural conversation. She simply lived, loudly, tenderly, stylishly, and at times terrifyingly, and the world watched because watching Rihanna has always felt like witnessing something that does not come around twice. ASAP Rocky called her magic, Pharrell called her a force, Mariah Carey called her a girl's girl. SA described taste operating on a frequency others cannot fully decode. But what none of them said, what none of them needed to say, is that beneath every magazine cover, every Dior diaper, every delivery room accessory choice, and every bullet-marked gate, there is a woman who once sat in a hospital bed holding something worth more to her than all of it, and quietly decided that was the greatest thing she had ever done. That woman, that specific, uncontainable, entirely herself woman, is who ASAP Rocky means when he uses the word magic. After everything this chapter delivered, arguing with him feels increasingly pointless.